Welcome in to the Marvel Stuff Podcast. I, of course, am Josh Kennedy from Facebook, here joined by Noah King Bates, the handsomest man in West Michigan. What's up, buddy?
Oh man, I cannot complain. How about yourself? Did you partake in Barbenheimer?
I did not, but I am going to see Oppenheimer on Wednesday. Yeah, it didn't work. It wasn't in the cards this weekend, but I'm going to see it in true IMAX because there's only two places in Michigan to watch it in true IMAX, and one of them just happens to be down the street from me. So I'm gonna go check that out Wednesday night.
North?
Exciting stuff. Yep, North. And then Barbie's one of those ones where I'm like, I mean, my wife didn't want to watch it enough, and I didn't really want to watch it by myself. So I'm like, we'll catch it on streaming wherever it ends up. I'm sure it's hilarious. That's just side news in nerd culture in a way. Like, this is the best weekend. I mean, it's combined to match up to it, but I think they said it's the fourth best weekend for movies ever, and it's like just behind Avengers Endgame, like premiere weekend. Obviously, they had to have two movies in order to do that, but at the same time, it's definitely something we needed in the movie industry because interest has been waning pretty significantly. So, funny events like this where they just happen to be the same opening date, it is very funny. And we were going to go full Barbenheimer, but that didn't work out. But I'm definitely going to check out Oppenheimer and eventually Barbie. What about yourself?
No, I took this weekend to play D&D with some friends, and rest. I have my show opening in about 2-3 weeks, so I've just been relaxing while I can.
Hey man, you mean Noah isn't in four plays at the same time? What's going on, man? Losing your
I know
touch.
only one right now. Only one right now, and after this one, I'm directing, and then I'm taking a year off. So you'll have your host. You'll have your.
Oh man, you guys hear that? Noah's gonna be doing every week. That's what I heard. Anyway, we're here. Coach still has a baby, and baby was crying, so he's not here. That's okay. We're going to talk Secret Invasion episode 5 first, but then following that, we're going to do a Spider-Man 4 Tom Holland pitch session type of deal because fan requested on one of our Q&As. So just so you guys know, we do read the suggestions, and we thought this one was pretty fun. So I got Noah tapped in, and we're gonna do our best to pitch something good. But kicking it off, Secret Invasion episode 5. Rhodey being full Skrull and blaming the Russians and the Skrulls for teaming up, and it was something, that's for sure. They're definitely sticking with the drama. I love that. It's not like my favorite show of all time, but I love that they're sticking to their guns. They haven't, in my opinion, there hasn't been an episode that's missed so far. Every single one has contributed to the overall arc of the story because it feels like in most of these Disney Plus shows or just TV shows in general, you got the throwaway episode where it's like the She-Hulk wedding episode. Like, what did that have to do with anything? There was like 3 minutes of somewhat story stuff, but most of it was just kind of a throwaway, which isn't a problem. But I'm glad that hasn't come to fruition with Secret Invasion. It seems like everything's propelling the storyline forward. How are you feeling about the show so far?
I have to agree with you on that one for sure. Even WandaVision, kind of when we got to the Malcolm in the Middle, Modern Family part, I started to wane off a little bit. So this one, I do very much enjoy the fact that it felt continuous, and it's not like one where it's like, oh, you can miss that episode, and you're no. Each episode is at least building towards something, even if people feel like it's a little too slow moving for a Marvel-based thing. I think that it's holding its cards right, like you said. It's sticking to its guns. It's not being like, oh, well, people are saying we need to
add be funny, they're not doing any of that stuff. They're letting it be a true television drama. There's obviously some jokes, but that happens in dramas too. It's not over the top making, and truly there aren't that many references, at least not blatantly obvious references to other events within the MCU. We did get confirmed that it's it's the species that's Groot is confirmed to be the Gene, and then Four Colossus, and then the other one was one of Thanos' men.
Obsidian.
Obsidian, thank you. Jeez, I looked this up and I totally forgot before I got on here. But yes, Obsidian. So that kind of now we're getting the real explanation. We find out that there is a harvest, which is the title of this episode, and the harvest is just DNA collected from the Avengers that Nick Fury has control of and has placed somewhere, and we do eventually find that he has at least one sample of all those things within like a headstone, and he's doing this cool like graveyard scene where he's, you know, there's technology and stuff. I don't know. It was fun enough, but how do you feel about the DNA thing kind of being the basis for the Super Scroll? Because that's pretty good, I'd say. I'm a big fan of it. Obviously, Super Scroll in the comics is more of a Fantastic Four guy, but it makes perfect sense to switch to the Avengers, and yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I like how even though it's not Fantastic Four based, they did a really smart thing with getting powers from that match the Fantastic Four. We have Groot's arms being Mr. Fantastic, stretching, Extremis being flames. We have Cull Obsidian just as a giant dude.
Yeah,
so it's the thing.
giant strong man.
Yeah, so I'm very intrigued because she was the only person who I was like, oh, they could have, been a nice Sue Storm would have been Ghost from the second Ant-Man and the Wasp. But she wasn't at the battle.
Right. Yeah, and she's only had that one movie. Obviously, she's coming back for Thunderbolts, but yeah, they couldn't retroactively give us an Invisible Woman representation, but I don't think that's a problem, especially because like the fraction of fans that actually know who Super Skrull is pretty low anyway. So that's something to know.
Yeah, no, it would have been a nice little nod to all of them. But again, I think the fact that how they were able to get us a Super Skrull and have those powers, I thought that was because again, we got Extremis wasn't at the final battle.
Right.
So who's to say that they don't have what's her name? Ghost's blood? We just got not retroactive.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing is the origin of Groot and Cull Obsidian's DNA. They didn't necessarily say it was from that fight. They just were able to get it. They said that when they tried to get the Avengers, that they left their DNA all over the battlefield and stuff like that. So, I mean, there's plenty of other explanations that they're probably not going to get into because it's so like relatively unimportant. I mean, they have that DNA. They're using that DNA now, and there you go. Someone in the comment section, he said, while it was more at the end of episode 4, the masks on the wall of Nick Fury's house were creepy. I read it as more artsy, but you're definitely right. It was it's very intentionally put there because there's Skrulls who take on new faces, and it's it's a little on the nose, but it also like it looked classy within that house. And speaking of that house, we get to see Emilia Clarke shine here. Oh my god, I love her so much. And I can't think of Nick Fury's wife's name off the top of my head, but they had a wonderful like a home invasion Mr. and Mrs. Smith style, just weapons hid all over the house. Just they get invaded, and two badass women just putting the boots to the Skrull army, trying to take their homestead and assassinate them. I thought it was really, really cool. I mean, this show has it's interesting because it's very high action then no action. It doesn't feel overwhelming with the amount of action that they're doing. They'll have like a fight scene, but a lot of this is like talking heads and like real interesting conversations about the repercussions of the Skrulls being in America and in the world. It was really cool, and so far it's been so well done. But this particular action scene's been one of my favorites. How did you feel about it?
Yeah, I think that hits the nail on that. I think for me, what I enjoyed, because this one had 2 fight scenes.
Yes.
And we got 2 very different levels of fight scenes. We got a very Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Mission Impossible gunfight that still had levels of realism to it, and then of course we get the Gravik fight,
fighting all of the Skrulls. Yeah, that was pretty good because it was more like a Batman fight in that scenario where it's like there was never at any point I'm like, I wonder if he's gonna win this fight. Like it's like I just want to see how he's gonna kill all these people. Is what we need to figure out.
I just want to see how violent this man gets.
Exactly. And how do you feel about Gravik as a villain within the show? Because I mean, he, like you said, relatively unknown, but I dig him as an adversary. I mean, his backstory makes plenty of sense to me. He was promised a home. He's been there 30 years, still doesn't have a home. you'd get frustrated at some point. Although he's doing classic Marvel stuff where it's like, well, now I want to start World War III. It's like, come on, man. Like, I think that's one of the curses of the MCU is like the villain you really buy into and you're like, I can kind of see where they're coming from. And then they just go off the deep end randomly. Like Killmonger, perfect example. Amazing backstory, made total sense why he was pissed off. And then all of a sudden it's just like, yeah, but now I'm going to eliminate everyone for ever being mean to black people. I'm like, is that really what we're like? What's happening here?
It's always one step too far.
Yep, the Carrie character from Falcon and Winter Soldier show as well. Like she seemed like, okay, she's a kind of a nomad looking for a home, kind of the same situation. She's a, I don't know, orphan of war. She was a little bit older, but you know what I mean. She's just kind of like out there, and then all of a sudden she just makes a turn, and it's about killing a bunch of people. But
I mean, we can even say that about heroes. Look at Scarlet Witch. And all of a sudden I didn't know. Yeah, I was gonna say her name is Vara.
Priscilla. So thank you, Facebook user. Anyway,
but yeah. So like even Scarlet Witch herself has that same thing where like, oh, she just wants her kids back. She just wants her kids. She's willing to.
Yeah, but I'm gonna kill the other me to do it.
Yeah.
She's
instead of just going to a world where she's dead. Like she was on one where she accidentally died in a car accident or like in a coma.
Yeah, there's plenty of other scenarios. Yeah, I mean it's tough. I get that it's hard to write an adversary, but there's some that just it makes sense. Like Magneto is my favorite one because his is like most of the time it's pretty justified, and for the most part he's fighting for mutant rights, and you can really see where he's coming from a good 80% of the time. But when it comes to like these scenarios in the MCU, it's like, why does Thanos want to kill half the universe? I mean, I get that it's a resource thing, but why? Earth is doing okay. I don't know, man. It seems questionable, but whatever. It's fun. The show's good so far. I'm liking it. I don't know how many episodes it's supposed to be. I think it's either 6 or 8, but I could just be tripping.
I think it's 8.
Interestingly, Disney Plus is loosening their death grip on the Marvel TV shows, and they are letting the first 3 episodes go to Hulu. It's definitely to stir up interest to get more people over to Disney Plus, but this is the first time that has happened with any of their TV shows. Granted, Disney has they're a very prominent company within the people that own Hulu because they're a partial owner of it. But they're also, they're expanding their brand just a little bit to try and get more people, get more buzz flowing. Because I think they're realizing that Disney Plus it's very much you like the show, you subscribe. When you don't like it, you hop off. There aren't that many people that don't have kids. I will preface that by saying that keep their Disney Plus other than to watch the new Mandalorian season or WandaVision was the one that a lot of people watched. But a lot of these Marvel TV shows are kind of just getting shucked to the side. They're like, it's not that important. I'll jump off and I'll jump back in 6 months when the new Mandalorian is, and then I'll catch up. So, interesting.
I think
cool.
I think with Hulu switching it over to Hulu is smart because you were brushing on what I wanted to say about the fact of like the typical viewer of Secret or Criminal Minds, or
you just broke up a little bit,
or even just like Suits.
You broke up for pretty much that whole little section there. You said The Secret to Hulu, and then keep going from there.
Okay, yeah. I was just saying that the Secret to Hulu is the people who are on Hulu compared to Disney Plus are going to be your people who are more than likely to watch a show like that, and almost
true.
Spy hunter procedural type show, your NCIS, your Criminal Minds. You're not going to find those viewers on Disney Plus unless they're already Marvel fans like you and I. You're not going to get a new person. No 12-year-old is like, ooh, Nick Fury? Let's see what's on this after watching Ultimate Spider-Man. Like, they don't care. No family's watching Ratatouille and then like, let's see Samuel
We should throw on Secret Invasion next. Yeah, you're absolutely right. They're not crossing over all the places that they could, and I think they're finally realizing that Disney Plus is while it's a great service, especially if you're a kid, uh, if they really want these shows to be successful, they really should. Especially with Hulu, man, they have part ownership. Like they're sharing like whatever the percentage breakdown, 3/4 of the viewership for Hulu that they're giving up to other people. And like I get it, but you're still making more money by sticking it to Hulu than just keeping it on Disney Plus. So I don't know if that's what they're going to be doing moving forward. I think it's going to be kind of trial by error basis. They're going to give this a shot, see if Secret Invasion picks up. If it does, maybe they'll pick and choose which ones they want to stick on Hulu as well. But moving on, I think that kind of wraps up Secret Invasion. Unless you had anything else to say.
I'm glad. Yeah, Rhodey. Donnie Chi, my man, he out here acting so good, so good. I'm very excited now that the whole point of this show has been how Nick Fury got his groove back. That's kind of what it felt like. And this was that moment, him having the conversation with Rhodey, fake Scrody, as some people are calling him.
I don't know if I buy that nickname. Funny though.
But so like that scene where, you know, right after that scene right when the president is being rolled in, like bloody, and he's like, don't trust any, like he's whispering in an unconscious president's like thing, like don't trust anyone, everyone close to you could be a Skrull, and then he just takes that chair with the gun, sits right outside, and it was just, I was like, all right, there we go. I'm excited. Let's see what you got.
I love it. Yeah, I mean, Samuel Jackson, he's a generational actor. Everybody knows that. Don Cheadle, he's in the same vein. Not quite as popular, but he's very talented as well. So this cast is unreal. I'm a big fan of the guy that's playing the guy that just died. Rollo. Oh man, how did I already forget his name? The Skrull assistant that
Talos?
Has been Talos. Man, Rollo. I was thinking like Vikings for some reason, but yes, Talos. I liked him a lot in the first few episodes, so it's a bummer that he's gone. But Emilia Clarke got her highlights. Show's on a good trajectory, I would say, in my opinion. Of course, I don't know how they're doing viewers wise, but it's good stuff. I'm glad that we have another Marvel show to watch, and I'm glad this isn't one of the ones that got cut, because I mean, while this doesn't feel like it needed to be there, I'm very appreciative that it is. So shout out to Secret Invasion. Now to the fan interest / Q&A answer. They want to know what we would do for Tom Holland's Spider-Man 4. And very good question, because Tom Holland is very public about maybe taking some time off of acting, maybe even walking away from Spider-Man completely. I don't think that's going to be the case, because they're going to offer him like all the money in the world in order for him to reprise the role. And he's going to make all the money in the world just because Spider-Man's the biggest superhero IP running right now. So what can you do other than just pay the man? But he needs it to be good, and I think that they're going to listen to us at the Marvel Stuff Podcast. They're going to listen to this, and this is going to be the ideas that they take. Exactly. I mean, really, it's just free. Except if you are a Marvel exec and listening to this, feel free to call us in, because I'm available all the time.
Yeah, I don't need anything. I will live in a.
Yeah, can you just like give me a byline? I don't need anything else. I just need a credit. But where do you think we need to go? I want to hear your thoughts first. I didn't write things down like I typically do on our Pitch Me episodes over on Gotham City Rogues. I said previously when we did like the Batman 2, I had like 3 pages of notes of things that I wanted to do, but I thought it would be more fun to kind of go back and forth with my buddy Noah on this Spider-Man 4 venture. So let's break it down. What villains do you want? We'll give context after, but what villains do we need?
Yeah. So, for me, I think the best villain for Peter going forward is going to be 2. It's Felicia's Black Cat as kind of an adversary.
Okay.
And then I would like to see more of like not a Sinister Six, because we really didn't get it, but like,
you might be on the same path as me. The one that I have in my head is the Lizard. We saw him again in Spider-Man 3. I get it, but we could have a new version and they could do it more along the line. I don't know. I'm thinking that they could almost do what Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 4 might have been shaping up to be. Peter is now graduated from high school and presumably going to college and got the true reboot Spider-Man comic book style. He doesn't have a support network anymore. People don't know who he is. So I think him kind of rediscovering himself and entrusting things into Dr. Kurt Connors and kind of looking to him as a pseudo mentor for the time being might be an interesting way to go about it. But I could also totally get behind getting just, Black Cat and some new blood in there. Like, bring back Scorpion, who made like a cameo in Homecoming. I don't know.
And that's actually I wanted Scorpion Mark because he becomes Venom in the comics. Mark does, and he becomes that vicious Venom that we don't get. And again, this Peter hasn't had a Venom yet. We know that the symbiotes can kind of.
That was one that I definitely thought of, and I eventually they're gonna do the Tom Hardy jump over. I don't want that to be Spider-Man 4 personally. I want that to be something that builds up a little bit later. A cameo, fine. I mean, if they want to go full symbiote, then eventually we get like a Null movie. I really sign up for a Null movie because the King in Black that was a really good storyline that they did over at Marvel. But I think this one, it needs to be very Spider-Man centric in classic New York. I don't need otherworldly entities like his symbiote or any of his alien adversaries. I don't want that because it feels like Spider-Man's your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. He's New York. He's, New York, the epitome of being a New Yorker. And sometimes because he's been involved in these Avengers movies and Civil War, this Spider-Man's already been to space and like kicked alien butt. And it just feels a little outside of the things that I love the most about Spider-Man. So I want a New York centric.
Okay, so let's backtrack.
Sure.
Let's backtrack then. Let's go, Felicia.
Yep, I'm into it.
Let's add some new blood that also connects to other medias that we've seen. Let's get Mr. Negative. Let's get Peter
that would be so good.
Working at Feast or because Aunt May's passed. We could even have him meet at Aunt May's memorial.
That's a good point. Yeah, because I mean, we didn't get to spend as much time with Aunt May in the MCU as we do within the Spider-Man video game. And to everybody that hasn't played that game, that's kind of what we're referencing here. Mr. Negative is the main villain of both Spider-Man and Spider-Man Miles Morales. So he's cool. And side note, confirmed for Spider-Man 2 now. That was just announced, I think, earlier this week. So that's going to be cool that he comes back. But yeah, Mr. Negative's a good one. And I'm going to be wrong, so I won't say it. But I thought that they made him for the video game, but I feel like maybe I'm just tripping on that. But
I think
thought it was original.
I do believe that I think he's originally from the game, but it's a great way to bring him into a bigger world. We can still have Felicia at he meets Felicia at Feast.
Like you got to go one. There's a few different options, obviously, but we gotta like Spider-Man love interests. Who are the highlights? Mary Jane, Gwen Stacy, and then Felicia Day. Those are the 2 or 3, and we already did MJ. Felicia Hardy, what'd I say?
Felicia Day, who's an actress.
An actress who was in Supernatural. Yes, that was my fault. But anyway, those are the 3. We already did MJ for Tom Holland. We don't need to redo that one. I think we either go Gwen or we go Black Cat, and I think Black Cat's the move because it seems like he's going to be going through a reinvention period because he really has no other choice to. And I would love if they had like the Batman Catwoman relationship. Like, I know you're evil, but I can save you. I can change you. We can be together. This type of thing. And like she's just trying to be herself, and that would be a very, very good romantic subplot to have within a New York Spider-Man movie. So I think she's a must-have. So good call.
Yeah, and I believe that with that, with having him meet alternatives of himself, hearing the name Gwen might cause. That's why I was like, we gotta find. I don't want to bring back Lizard. I don't want to
Don't
bring
want to
back
do. Yeah,
Norman
I'm with you there too. It's
because
in
he
my
now
head I
knows
was like,
those names. They're always gonna be.
that's true. It's kind of hard to move away from it because he now has the baggage of 5 movies that he wasn't in. So go in Spider-Man, and we all know that Spider-Man's Rogues Gallery is enormous and seems to be never ending. So we can get some of these other really good ones in, and it won't be a problem. So Black Cat, classic cat burglar scenario, obviously just pretty much a Catwoman copy, and I'm okay with that within the MCU. So I would love to see that one.
So
But
the way
on
that
the other end, nah, we'll save Spider Gwen for a Miles movie. So we're keeping away from that. With Tom Holland's Peter Parker Spider-Man 4. I would love to do a Miles episode, though. We should do that sometime.
We should definitely do a Miles episode. Now, there were some key points for me that I think are what are going to set this Peter different from Miles, but also telling a very captivating story. And there's 2 after credit scenes or post credit something interesting.
Mid-credit, post-credit, right?
Yeah. And for me, one of them is at some point we learned that Peter's blood was taken somewhere. So one of the after credit
scenes. You doing the clone storyline?
Is Ben Reilly. Is a Ben
only
Reilly.
If Andy Samberg plays him. No, I'm just kidding. But he did a great job in Across the Spider-Verse.
He did do a great job. Now the other thing would be to have him working, or going into Mary Jane's old work, just kind of like that's his usual stop, and then he sees Mary Jane and Ned, and they're like, and he's like, oh, hey, and or like he bumps into them like sitting down, and they're like, oh, we're back in town from college. You're the kid who lived down the street, or like you came in a couple of times, and it's like, oh, let me introduce you to our friend. His name's Harry. And then we get Timothée Chalamet.
I was gonna say very similar. I wasn't gonna do the MJ and Ned thing, but that would make perfect sense because that's always a point of contention, that Harry and Mary Jane Peter love triangle. So very good point. Harry is a must, but I didn't think he was the main focus of this next movie, which spoiler if you don't want to know this, spoiler for Spider-Man 2 the video game, but it was just also confirmed that Harry Osborn is the Venom within the PlayStation video game universe. So that's going to be kind of cool.
But they teed that up in the first
game. Teed that up in the first one. Yeah, especially if you beat it, in like the post-credit scene is Norman checking on Harry. It's like everyone's so surprised now. I'm like, did no one beat the game? What's going on? Like you can see him floating in symbiote. Like what is happening? Whatever. It's fine. But Harry's a must, and Timothée Chalamet would just be so on the money as far as like casting would go, because he's right in that age. Him and Zendaya got the Dune franchise going right now, and they seem to actually be friends in real life. So that would just be a fun thing to kind of throw into the Spider-Man mix. But let's talk.
Or even more wild. Even if it wasn't Timothée Chalamet, like even if we just had a Harry Osborn kind of like meeting Peter, but if Peter goes because he hears Gwen and Ned are back, he goes to meet, and that's how he meets Ben Reilly.
Because that'd be so weird.
Because MJ is dating Ben.
Oh, that'd be wild. I don't know if I go that far, but I just think of another casting. If they didn't do Timothée Chalamet, they could definitely go KJ Apa from Riverdale. I mean, that was the redhead style, but I was like, he definitely gives off the vibe.
He'd be Ben.
Oh, if put him as Ben Reilly, I'm okay with that too, because he does look a little bit like Tom Holland now that you say that. I mean, not aggressively, but I mean,
right,
objectively similar looking white boys. But what do you think of the main conflict? You said Mr. Negative, but do we want to lean into the Feast connection with Mary Jane? Do we want to lean into some other aspect? What other characters? Because I want a Kingpin cameo, something fierce. I don't want anything crazy at it because I want him saved for a future storyline. But the fact that he is in New York right now, having rivalries with Hawkeye and Daredevil and everybody's and Echo, like that that storyline's prime for the crossover. That's for sure.
You tee him up running for mayor.
Yeah.
You tee him up running for mayor, and he at that feast giving like a speech or greasing the palms of Mr. Negative.
I like it. Nice. Yep. Just a quick cameo, and then that's it. I don't want anything else. I don't want a Kingpin movie yet. I want the Kingpin movie to be like the animated episodes of the Spider-Man TV show where he crossed over with Daredevil, and it was awesome. One of my favorite VHS tapes. Shout out to Adam Kennedy because we watched that thing till it broke. So.
Yeah, you with the growth of Kingpin, what you do is you have him running for mayor. You introduce him. You can even introduce Luke.
I was thinking about
you have it run through. You have it run through Born Again. He barely interacts with Daredevil, but he interacts with Matt.
Yeah, that could be.
And then he wins, and that's your conflict for season 2.
Yep.
Because then you get like gang wars.
I'm into it. So yeah, Mr. Negative being the main guy. I mean, he's got very villain reasoning for him being a tool in the video game, but you could still do an interesting translation with the MCU. And it's just like fresh characters. I mean, it's a little bit insulting to the Spider-Man villains that have been around for 50, 60 years, but at the same time, I mean, we got the highlights. There's a handful of other ones, and I can't imagine Sony's really in the business of making sure that they get all of their people within the Spider-Man movie because they're saving them for their own movies right now. That is an eventual crossover because I think Tom Holland's next contract's got to be another trilogy, maybe even more movies. I mean, they're going to have to pay him a buttload of money, but no surprise there.
Yeah.
And
they'll probably sign him on for 4.
Sony's going to push.
And they'll have...
I meant like starring roles. Yeah, you're right. He'll probably be in 4 or 5 projects, though. But they seem to be kind of teeing up a Tom Holland either cameo or full-on role within Venom 3. So that one I could kind of see going forward where he doesn't necessarily need to jump into the MCU quite yet, although he already had this post-credit scene and it was great. But yep, I love it. I mean, Spider-Man's a super fun character, and I'm excited for the future. But I think we pitched a pretty competent Spider-Man 4. I mean, a lot of them were overarching themes, but at the same time, we're not getting paid enough. So if you want to hear the rest, wink, wink, call us up, Marvel. Yep.
Join our Patreon, which we don't have.
We don't have a Patreon. I always think about it, but then I'm like, we barely have time for 1 episode a week. The audience knows. So I'm not going to be like, you want to pay an extra? I was like, oh, dude, if we're going to do a Patreon, then we got to charge $6.16 a month because it's Earth 616.
Oh,
and we're going to drop 4 episodes a month if we were to do something like that. So
and then if we got a higher one, it'd be $18.10.
Nice. Yeah, that'd be good too. Not gonna happen anytime soon, but I mean, and you gotta share with your friends, guys. We've consistently kept the same audience, and we appreciate you guys going through all our life changes, having kids, moving, getting new jobs. Got a handful of co-hosts like good old Noah King Bates here that hops on, and Ron helps out sometimes, and we've got a good network. We appreciate you guys. We love the Facebook group. We appreciate you guys endlessly. If you want to share with your friends, get some more people on board, we can start looking at things like a Patreon and things along those lines. Because I'm still having a great time, and it's 2.5 years running. Yeah. So I guess we're still rolling. And once again, appreciate you guys. Noah, thank you for stopping by again. Maybe I'll hit you up again next week. We'll see how it goes. But sounds like you got some free time coming up. So maybe Noah will just be the trio once Coach eventually figures out how to navigate the tube baby life, and I know he'll get there eventually. He tried to come today. He said he was going to try, but baby's not sleeping. So shout out to Coach. Shout out to King Cooper, the new baby, and obviously Els and my baby Kins and Noah's son Liam. We love the next generation of the Marvel Stuff Pod. Obviously, they're going to take over when we're old and gray. So hope you guys look forward to that. The Young Marvel Stuff Podcast coming in 2063. It's going to be sick. And you guys have fun, but not too much fun without us.